Hi, welcome back to my channel, you guys. So I'm excited about this week's travel video because I'm going to be sharing with you 7 things that you need to know about filing a holiday travel insurance claim. It is my hope and it is my prayer that nobody has to do this, but in case you do, make sure you are paying close attention. So travel insurance is essential no matter where you're headed. Now, before I jump right into it, I'm going to share this quick story with you. I remember years ago, my mom and my daughter and I, we went on a cruise, right? Well, we had booked a cruise, let me say that. And I don't know what happened or why, but some reason I had to reschedule my cruise. And my saving grace is that I had insurance. If I had it not been for my insurance, I would have just lost my money. Okay, because I think I was supposed to go like around August or something, August to September, but I ended up having to move it back and go in December. But again, because I had the insurance, that wasn't a problem. They said, "Oh, Miss Arnold, no problem." They went and the lady went in and she said, "Well, the next cruise we had was whatever the December date was." I said, "Hey, put me on that one." And we went, and it wasn't December. I take that back. It was November. Loud and wrong. It was in November. And so I was super, super excited about that. Everybody was able to go. I got my daughter's homework packet, took it on the ship, and they had the folks that work with the kids. They told you, as a matter of fact, when you booked your cruise, they said, "Hey, look, if your child has a homework packet, please make sure you bring it with them, and they will make sure it gets done." Honey, think they did, and it was a 7-day cruise. By day 3, I think it was, that homework packet was complete. So, you know what? I am not mad at Carnival Cruise Line at all. Hashtag not sponsored. So, let's talk about the 7 things that you need to know. So, number 1, always have proof of ownership. Had your watch stolen during your travels, or are you claiming for a damaged laptop? It isn't enough to insist you legitimately own these items. You must be able to prove it by way of receipts once you make a claim. Now, let me tell you how that sometimes can be a problem. I have a laptop, which I don't have with me because I've got it charging up downstairs. But I've had that laptop for quite a while. So I may not necessarily have a receipt for it. Yes, I do. I can get it because I remember where I purchased it. But let's say you don't have a receipt for it. That can be a problem. So if you have anything of any real value, I would suggest that you hold on to the receipts, okay? Always keep copies of anything that will verify ownership of items that you plan on taking on holiday, and store them in a safe place, okay? So if you're taking your camera, I have a DSLR camera. Thank God I have the receipt for that, both right there in the box as well as where I purchased it online. But let's say you're taking your camera, you have your cell phone, you have your iPad if you're taking that, your laptop, whatever it is, your watch, your jewelry, whatever it is of value that you're taking, make sure you have your receipts, okay? Number 2, stay with your belongings at all times. Cannot stress this enough. You can be reimbursed for any items that are lost, stolen, or damaged during your trip, but here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. As long as you are carrying them, or they are locked in a safe where you're staying. So when I read that, I thought, huh? So you mean to tell me if I'm traveling through the airlines and I have something of value in my suitcase and someone steals it, I can't be reimbursed? There's got to be a gray line or something in that clause somewhere about that. But I'm just telling you what the article said, that as long as you're carrying these items with you, or they are locked in a safe where you're staying. And again, you will need to have proof of ownership of those items. So where things begin to get murky, however, is if you accidentally forget something in your hotel room. Let's say you forget it at the airport and you check out before you realize that you left the items, before you realize that item was, I'm sorry, wait a minute, let me go back. Where things begin to get murky, however, is if you accidentally forget something in your hotel room and check out before you realize you leave that item with someone who is, or you, that's why my sentence is run on, or you leave that item with someone who is not traveling with you for more than 50% of your trip, or if you leave a bag unattended and or secure. Okay, did y'all get that? So, in other words, if you check out your hotel room and I leave my iPad in my hotel room, right? That's where it kind of gets a little murky. Or I leave this same iPad right here with someone who is not traveling with me for more than 50% of my trip, or if I leave my bag unattended or unsecured. Number three, don't rely on perceived let me air quote, get out of jail free cards. Many insurance providers will allow you to make a claim if you have to cancel a trip due to unexpected illness or death of a close family member or your traveling companion. But there's always a kicker, right? But the key word to remember here is unexpected. Remember when I told you that I had to reschedule my cruise because something unexpected came up. Nobody was sick, but I think it was something unexpected had come up and I wasn't able to go on the original date, but we did reschedule it. So that's the key word to remember is unexpected. You cannot make any kind of cancellation claim if said family member or travel companion was already sick when you booked the trip and purchased the policy, or if you were aware of a pre-existing medical condition. And like I said, that kind of muddies the water just a little bit. Are there ways around it? I'm pretty sure there are, but you just want to be careful about that. Number four, high value items may need additional coverage. So it may surprise you to find that many everyday items such as laptops, cell phones, cameras, and jewelry are often excluded from standard or basic travel insurance policies, or their coverage is capped at just a few $100s. So let me say that one more time. It may surprise you to find that many everyday items such as your laptop, your cell phone, your cameras, your jewelry are often excluded from standard or basic travel insurance policies, or the insurance amount that you can be reimbursed is capped at just a few $100s. So it would be really horrible if you had a DSLR camera and you paid $800 for that camera, but the insurance says, well, we're only going to reimburse you $200. Y'all, let me tell you, I'm clutching my pearls that I'm not even actually wearing because that's a swift kick in the tail. You hear what I'm saying? So each insurer has a maximum benefit cap, of course, but you do have the option of customizing the sublimit on each individual item. A good example of this is Insure and Go's it's called Insure and Go. Their gold policy, which offers coverage of up to $8,000 for lost or damaged personal belongings, or a silver policy, which offers up to $6,000 in coverage. Again, you have got to read. Do not take things at face value and do not take what's cheap because cheap is not always the best. Number five, always record the IMEI number on your cell phone. Now, this is something I probably never would even, I've never thought about. Let me say this. I've never traveled anywhere and recorded that number. But did you know insurance providers will generally not cover you for any claim relating to a lost, stolen, or damaged phone if you're unable to supply the International Mobile Equipment Identity, which is the IMEI number. Now, let me let you know a little secret. If you don't, because I have no idea, my daughter has my phone, but I have no idea off the top of my head what my IMEI number is on my cell phone. But guess what? I still have the box that cell phone came in. So if I had to file a claim, I could always go to that box. And on that little label outside the box, it's right there. So just be aware of what it is, okay? So not only will you need to provide your insurance provider with this number, but you'll also need to provide proof that you have blocked this number by an Australian telecommunications provider. And I was a little confused by that. But again, you will need to read the guidelines for the policy that you purchase. Number six, note that most travel delay coverage only applies to flights. Okay, so with cruise sales on the rise, it's more important than ever to note that most standard insurance policies only tend to cover flight delays with reimbursable costs, including accommodations and meals that you had to pay for as a result of these delays. Cruise delays will only be covered when you take out a tailored cruise travel insurance policy. Let me say that one more time. Cruise delays will only be covered when you take out a tailored cruise travel insurance policy. So, again, it is so important to know what kind of coverage you are purchasing. And number 7, self-inflicted injuries and illnesses will not be covered. Okay? You've probably already figured out that taking part in high-risk activities during your holiday often nullifies your policy. But this could also be the case for reckless behavior or during instances where you've ignored official advice. A good example of this is if you ignore vaccination advice given through the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade's Smart Traveler website and wind up with some kind of a tropical disease. Okay? That's on you, because they said you need to get these vaccines, you decided not to, you come down with some disease, it's just kind of on you. Always check the fine print, and I've been saying this the whole time. Always check the fine print of any policy before you purchase it. And if you have questions, it's always a good idea to give them a call. Hopefully you're in the office where the company is, so you can just say, hey, wait a minute, this line doesn't, I don't know, what exactly does that mean? Talk to me. You know what I mean? So that's it. So let me do a quick recap, and I promise I'll let you be. I just shared with you 7 things that you need to know about having to file an insurance claim and a holiday travel insurance claim. So number 1, I said always have proof of ownership. If you have high ticket, it doesn't even necessarily have to be high ticket, but just electronic devices of any kind that you're going to be traveling with, make sure you have receipts or proof that you own that item. If you purchased a camera or iPhone or an iWatch or whatever that device is, keep the receipts. You should be keeping the receipts anyway, but keep the receipts and make sure you have them someplace you can put your hands on them, because you will have to provide proof that you own that individual item. Number 2, stay with your belongings at all times. You do not want to go off and leave. And I've seen people do this where they leave their bag at their chair at the airport, but then they go over to the desk to ask a question at the people at the desk, right before you board. Now, my thing is this. Number 1, there's a bit of a distance between where you ended up and where your bag is, but also your back is to your bag. So you don't know who may decide to pick your bag up and run off with it. So keep your stuff with you at all times, okay? But again, if something is lost, stolen, or damaged during your trip, as long as you're carrying it with you, or it's locked in a safe where you're staying, you'll have to provide proof of ownership, okay? Number 3, don't rely on perceived get-out-of-jail-free cards. Many insurance providers will allow you to make a claim if you have to cancel your trip due to unexpected illnesses or death of a close family member or travel companion. But the operative word there is unexpected. You cannot make any kind of cancellation claim if that family member was already sick prior to you booking that cruise, or if they had a pre-existing medical condition. So please be aware of that. Number 4, high volume items may need additional coverage. Again, you will have to ask questions. Read the policy. Do not get cheap policies for high ticket items. Again, if you have a DSLR camera, we know, I'm using that as an example because I'm looking at the box my camera came in, but we know those cameras can cost up to $2,000 or more. Okay, so you want to be careful about making sure you have the right amount of coverage for those items, because it would be a sin and a shame if you paid $2,000 for your Nikon DSLR and they say, oh, we're sorry it was stolen, but the most we can give you is $300. Honey, that's like a slap on both sides of the cheek. The ones on your face and the ones you're sitting on. You see what I'm saying? Make sure you read the fine print so that you can make sure you are fully covering your stuff. Number 5, always record your IMEI number on your cell phone. If you're not sure where that number is, well, I know, I can't think off the top of my head, but I know there's a way you can find it on, because I have an iPhone, but there's a way you can go in and pull up that screen that shows you that. But if you have the box, which I do, I don't have the receipt that I had when I purchased it, but I do have the box that it came in, and on the side of that box is a label, and it has an IMEI number on it. Number 6, note that most travel delay coverage only applies to your flight. So again, you need to make sure that you are aware of what your policy covers and doesn't cover. Number 7, self-inflicted injuries and illnesses will not be covered. So if you are going on travel and you're skiing, bungee jumping, doing all kind of crazy stuff that you might hurt yourself, then you will find that you're just going to be kind of out of luck. Okay, so that's all I have, you guys. I want to say thank you so much for my newest subscribers. Thank you so much for those of you that continue to support me in all that I do. I love you guys to the moon and back, and I want to wish you happy travels this holiday season. Do not forget, if you're going to be traveling for the holiday season, please make sure you take out, and anytime really, take out the insurance so that you cover yourself. That's all I have, you guys. Happy travels, and we'll talk again soon. Until next time, take care.